So, Ginger, can you kind of just walk us through from the perspective of an Excel person, because those are the kind of people that we connect with here at Excel TV, that maybe don't have a lot of exposure to Power BI. Where do you go about getting started? How do you navigate all the there's Power BI online, and then there's a bunch of Power BI features that are kind of built into Excel. So how do you help those people who are new to it kind of get started?
Good question. Well, maybe for a little bit of background. For one thing, when Microsoft was looking to get into the self-service BI, which is where they positioned Power BI, they looked at, hey, what are we going to do to give people self-service business intelligence? So like, well, obviously Excel. Everybody has it. Everybody knows it. And so starting in 2010, they started loading up a lot of features that they called Power BI, which is business intelligence, into Excel. And of course, with 2010 is when you really got, you got Power Pivot's full data capabilities to do data analysis in Excel. And with 2013, and you also got Power Query in 2010 as well. And in 2013, you got two additional powers. You got Power Query, Power Map, Power View, and Power Pivot. The four powers, as I call it. So that all came with 2013. But the big problem is, and it contains Power Pivot, but of course they don't call it that because it's a different application. But all that functionality is baked into the Power BI desktop. And of course, it doesn't have some of the nice Excel features, no VBA.
Okay.
The drill down capability's not really there. But if you want to play around with Power BI Desktop, it's free. And if you go to the front page, they've got a bunch of getting started videos that are really good. So I encourage anybody who hasn't played around with Power BI, go download the free desktop version, and as soon as the start screen comes up, look at the getting started videos, and then I think that really helps you understand what you can do with the application and what it's good for.
So a quick question for you. I have a client right now who's primarily an SAP client, but they're exploring Power BI as a potential reporting tool, right? Because, like you said, it's free, and they don't have to worry about $1 million enterprise licenses for these big tools. And the people who are primarily looking to use the tools right now are just getting data dumps from a system, and they're using it in Excel anyways for budgeting and for other things like that. What have you seen as being the biggest shortcomings so far? So if it's free, certainly that's a big thing, and it already being fairly pervasive and people knowing how to use Excel kind of natively. What are the biggest shortfalls with where it's at right now as a product?
Well, where it's at right now, okay, the desktop version is free. The idea that if you wish to distribute it, yes, you can pass around their PBIX files that you can pass around. But the goal that Microsoft thinks that you're going to want to do is that you're going to want to pass it around to people in your organization. And that's what PowerBI.com is, which is meant to be the distribution area of the stuff that you would create in the free desktop application. And that costs $10 a month, $9.99. It's the Ronco pricing. Nobody ever rounds up to 10, right?
That's a deal breaker.
Right.
But it's $10 a month, and for that, then you have the ability to load everything into a web version, and then you can share data that way. Well, right when you do that, you turn off a lot of people. You get the "we aren't going to go cloud" conversation that happens right there, because a lot of people are like, "We're not doing cloud." And Microsoft is working to address it. They are working on an on-premises version of Power BI right now. It's not been released, but they knew that some people said, yeah, we're not doing that. I will say I think some of the administration features are kind of light. I kind of recently, one of the kind of neat things that they did with Power BI is they allowed people to design their own custom visualizations, which I thought was a really neat feature until I went to use it. And I did a blog post about that, and 2 hours after I posted it, I had 2 comments from people at Microsoft promising to fix what I didn't like about it.
That's cool. That is cool.
Yeah. But what I don't like about it is if you do a custom visualization, you get this warning every time you want to use it. This is not supported by Microsoft. Are you sure you want to continue? Oh, great. What do you think if the client thinks of that, right?
Right.
I can tell you what my client thought, and I'm like, I'm going to get rid of it. Yeah, that would be great. So I also highlighted on my blog the fact that they say in the middle of this web page that I didn't read very carefully that you can't remove any custom visualization that you embed in a report. Cannot.
So once it's in there forever.
Right, which means that you have to do what I did, which is delete the whole thing and start over.
Ah, oof.
Oh man.
So it's still buggy.
Yeah.
They're still working out.
Administration things, yeah, because you can add a visualization, but you can't remove a visualization. I mean, come on.
I think, well, it's a good thing Microsoft watches this show. So they're going to be writing in. Now, here I have a question, because my experience with the other BI platforms, Cognos, Business Objects, SAS has like visual and analytics, Tableau, a good one as well. Is this going to be, and maybe Rick can also answer this as well, is this a real serious challenge? So I know it's probably kind of a challenge to Tableau, but really thinking of like the enterprise visualization suites, like, is this maybe even a year or so going to be something that could be a major contender, or is it still kind of in its own little space?
I'll jump in first. I'll let since I'm the novice with Power BI, and then let the cleanup hitter come in and knock it out of the park. So my opinion so far, and I talked about a client a little bit earlier, is, as we downloaded the desktop version and we tried to connect it in testing directly to SAP BW, which is the data warehousing engine, for SAP, there were no native connectors. There was a native connector to SAP Business Objects Universes, but that would mean I would already have the Business Objects licenses. I would already be building the semantic layer, and so from where I sit right now, there's, especially for database connection, there needs to be. There are workarounds where you have to go to third-party tools and third-party connectors, etc., or do some fancy legwork in SAP to kind of make the connections happen. But for me right now, it's a bit difficult to just open it up for your $10 a month and think you're going to make some pretty difficult connections. What are your thoughts, Ginger?
Well, for SAP, I know that Microsoft has a fix for that. It's the enterprise data connection. So that is something that they are addressing right now. I look at Microsoft kind of like, and I read this from ZD, one of ZD publications, so I'm kind of stealing this, but they're what's considered a fast follower. For example, we all know that Excel was not the first spreadsheet on the marketplace. Mm-hmm. That went to Lotus 1-2-3, which of course, was what everybody thought was the coolest thing ever, right? When's the last time you've seen that? I haven't seen it in years. So what I think Microsoft is doing is, as I know that they are putting in an inordinate amount of resources on it, and I think that they are going to be able to compete with Tableau, who's the industry leader according to Gartner, in about 2 years, given the fact that the amount of information that they're putting out every month for releases is astounding. Like, for example, what you're talking about, Rick, they've got a fix for that. Already.
I will talk to you after the show.
Yeah, and just like stuff that I'm like, well, that's really annoying. For example, I'm a Microsoft VSP, which means that I'm under NDA with them. So I can't necessarily say everything, but I'm on their Power BI advisors group. And some of the stuff that I was complaining about, they've already got fixes that are happening. One of the things I can disclose is that one of the big things that people complain about with Power BI is that how you share or distribute information. For example, if I'm at a client, they cannot, I cannot log in to the Power BI website on site because I don't have acme.com email address. I've got a pragmaticworks.com email address.
Right.
I can only share files between other acme.com users. The fix for that is in the works. It's all over Twitter. They're working on it now. I think that'll be out in about 2 months. So they're very responsive. People be like, that's stupid. So it's not there yet, and like some of the administration stuff is missing. But every time that I've seen something that I thought was really, really annoying, many of them have cleared up over time. So one of the things about, for example, Power BI features, technically Power View in Excel, that people found really, really annoying. And if you use Power View, I really feel bad for you because unless you've got 2016, you still deal with this. You can't pick your own colors. Who wants to create a graph and only have like sets of colors to pick from? They fix that. So I think they're really responsive.
Can you tell our audience just about that color complaint, in case they've not heard this yet?
Oh, well, what it is if you have Power View in Excel and you are creating a visualization, you have a set of colors that you have the ability to pick from. So it's a certain range of colors. There are like 6 or 7, but let's say that you're working for a company, hypothetically speaking, and they've got a really thing for like Pantone colors of yellow and black that must be on every report, hypothetically speaking.
Hypothetically.
Yeah, hypothetically. That's not something that they thought that was that aesthetically pleasing, so they did not include that in Power View, which means if you want your reports in that particular color shade, sorry, can't do it. You can pick from the approved color shades that Microsoft has made available to you. So, and
there were 7, basically.
7, yeah.
Up until recently.
Yeah.
Okay. So, lot of really great information here. So just to kind of recap before we get ready to move on to our next section soon, I'm seeing in my teleprompter. Let's say I am that one really enthusiastic Excel person in my organization. My IT, maybe they're a little, slow to react. Management is a little behind the times, and I want to do something impressive with Power BI. What's my best place to start? Do I want to maybe just get my own copy of Power BI Desktop and start making a bunch of jiggy visualizations, saving them as PDFs, sending them to my boss and saying, hey, look what I made? Like, I meet one of these people in every organization I train at. They're the hardcore Excel people, and they're kind of at the mercy of their management and IT departments that are often slow to get excited about these things. So what advice would you have for a person like that?
I would definitely download Power BI Desktop, assuming that you're an administrator on your machine, and do it that way. The reason why is that, again, the cloud thing, having your data in the cloud can be a really big thing for some organizations, and if you're trying to promote new technology, it's best not to annoy the daylights out of them. One thing that I will also bring up in terms of the We Hate Cloud thing that Microsoft has addressed, with the enterprise data connections, your data is not in the cloud, just your pictures are. Your data is all on your servers wherever it happens to live. So they're kind of addressing that right now before even the on-premises version is out there. So that's another. So I think you can talk your way around the We Hate Cloud, but if I was trying to convince somebody, I would definitely do my visualizations in Power BI Desktop and show them. And the other thing too is that if you want to get into some really cool visualizations and you've got Excel 2013, you can do some really cool stuff in that as well. And you can import a lot of things that you would create in that directly into Power BI Desktop as well. So you can kind of go back and forth. As a matter of fact, if I'm doing a data model, I do it in Excel first because there's the ability that I have to take that to Analysis Services Tabular directly, another tool that I may do if they end up with large amounts of data. So if I am picking where I'm going to do a proof of concept for a data model, I pick Excel for that reason.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Cool.